Ready? No podium.
Right.
Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jason Salento. I have the great honor of being the mayor of Denellen, New Jersey. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for being here this evening on this important conversation as we discuss a special improvement district. I know there's a lot of questions and concerns about what this might mean for the downtown, but the town is looking at this as a strategic plan for how we move the town forward in our revitalization efforts. So tonight's meeting is about hearing from you as business owners and property owners. Hear your concerns. We know there's concerns about what the assessment might be. How do we handle parking? How do we handle marketing of business? How do we strategically put the boundaries together for a special improvement district? But that's why our panelists are here this evening, and our consultant, Natalie Pinero, who is in charge of Inc. Creative. So I just want to give a shout out to a few people who are here. We have our council member, Chris Salt, Edie Lance, who's here this evening. We have DDMO member, Peggy Lockwood. I'm trying to look around other members of the DDMO. Lauren is here. Sorry, Lauren back there. And Bill Robbins. We have Alex Miller, our business administrator, who is here this evening. Our chairman of Parking Authority, Bill Wagner. We also have Derek White. He's our community development director, newly installed. So welcome, Derek, to the team. We also have chairman of the planning board, Roger Dornbier, and Luke Lasanka, who is the town's engineer and planning board engineer. So again, let's have a great conversation about these efforts for the downtown, what this means for everybody. We hope you'll, share in our conversation, and thank you for being here tonight. And first and foremost, always investing in the downtown now. Thank you for being here.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to take a moment to just disconnect from the screen so I can queue up something that I wanted to share with you all. All right, how many of you guys have a cell phone? I hope everybody does. Show of hands, how many of you have a cell phone? All right. So what I want to do is I want to play a little game with you guys before we get started. If you guys would open up your cell phone browsers and go to menti.com, that's MENTI.com, and put in the code that you see at the top of the screen, which is 17179208. Again, that's menti.com, MENTI.com. And the participation code is 17179208. And so what you'll see on the screen is a question. I want you to think about your favorite downtown. And in one word, I want you guys to put in on that app, right, the one word that makes that downtown so special. And what you'll see here is a couple of adjectives, right, from a previous stakeholder meeting that we had on this same topic. But you can feel free to put in whatever it is that comes to mind when you think of your favorite downtown, right? So again, it's menti.com, and the code is 17179208. So I'll give you guys about a minute to put in your answers. It will not be graded. And so that's really what we're here to talk about today, right? What can make downtown Dunellen so special, and how we can work together as a community to make that happen for business owners, for property owners, and everyone else at the table. All right, so I see the screen changing, right? And what you'll see is that the words that are largest on the screen are the most populated adjectives. So what we're seeing is walkable, community, variety, safety, aesthetics, right? Friendly. And these are all of the things that make downtowns wonderful. All right, 1 minute is up. We're going to go to the next question. Sorry, Rick. We're trying to go quick here. What key elements make a downtown area inviting and vibrant? And some of those, right, answers that you put for the first question might carry over here, or you might have a different idea. Vibrancy is something that we talk a lot about when we're talking about curating downtowns and the downtown experience. So what does vibrancy mean to you? So we're getting our first couple of responses. Green space, unique events, variety of businesses, parking, right? Parking absolutely contributes to the experience that you have when you come into a downtown. Events, diversity, entertainment, lively. These are all really great answers. And I'm sure they correspond back to what your favorite downtowns look like, right? So I'll give you guys another 30 seconds to put in your responses. Cleanliness, shops. We talk a lot about how we recruit complementary businesses into our downtowns. Businesses that invite social connectivity. Businesses that represent the heart of our unique identity. Pedestrian traffic, right? That is what contributes to the vitality of each and every one of your businesses. By show of hands, how many business owners do we have in the room today? If you own a business in a downtown or here in Denellen, raise your hand. All right, great. Thank you for coming. Property owners, how many of you guys own property? All right, so we've got a few of you as well. Again, thank you for your investment in downtown. And our final question that I have for you guys today is, what improvements would best support business growth and create stronger connections between downtown businesses and your community? So a lot of times when we talk about owning a business in a downtown district, too often we just think about the product or the service that we provide to the community, how we market that. But research shows that the most successful downtowns are downtowns that have a connected community. And so what we're hoping to accomplish here, right, whether or not we decide that a special improvement district is right for us, is create a more connected and vibrant community. So marketing, management, accessibility, events, housing, business attraction, policy, someone managing downtown. These are all great answers. And I'll tell you how many of these things can be accomplished. And that is through the creation of a special improvement district. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So I'm going to close out our Mentimeter. Thank you all for your participation. And so, again, we're here to talk about an initiative to establish a special improvement district here in Denellen. My name is Natalie Pinero. I'm the founder of In Creative Strategies. I'm a champion for small business and the growth of local economies. I love to talk about small business and special improvement districts. I can talk to you guys about it all day, and I won't. But I'll tell you that my love for small business started when I was a child. My parents are Cuban immigrants. They came to this country when they were very young. And my dad was a serial entrepreneur my entire life. My dad started his first business when he was about 6 years old. He started shining shoes. To this day, he has his shoe shine box still on top of his desk, complete with a little sign that says 26 cents, which was 25 cents for the shoe shine plus 1 cent tax. After that, my dad started a paper route, and he delivered newspapers. And that continued throughout my whole life. You know, my dad in his adulthood started 3 different small businesses, and I've watched him navigate the challenges of being a business owner and a property owner. I've seen him break down doors to get into rooms that he normally wouldn't have access to. I've seen him apply for funding and get denied. I've seen him try and purchase a building and not be able to do it. And that made me really passionate about finding out ways to connect small businesses, property owners, and business districts with the resources they need through strengthening the entrepreneurial ecosystem. So our business focuses on commercial corridors and business improvement districts. We look at formation, strategy, and management. So today we're going to focus on the establishment of the special improvement district, the research that's been done in the past, right? The research that we've collected, the proposed SID boundaries, and next steps. So here's what we know. We know that strong downtowns are vital to a community's economic and social fabric. They drive economic growth, they create jobs, they attract businesses, they attract tourists, they enhance property values, they improve quality of life, and they foster revitalization efforts. So by investing in and supporting the development of downtown areas, communities can ensure sustainable growth, and again, here's that buzzword, vibrancy, and a vibrant future. But there are some challenges, as we all know, to business districts, right? And there are many, but this is just a few, right? The entrepreneurial ecosystem is broken. We know that few are investing in the ecosystem in and around business owners, and we know that we need systems in place to support business growth as businesses navigate social, economic, and industrial change. And so this is where the Special Improvement District really comes into play. So for those of you who don't know, I'll give you a quick rundown on what the Special Improvement District legislation is. So it's a legislation from the state of New Jersey that authorizes a municipality to create a boundary, and within that boundary, collect a special assessment to reinvest back into the downtown. Now, what's very unique about the way that the legislation is written is that the municipality, once they pass the ordinance authorizing the Special Improvement District, can't just take that assessment and use it into their operating budget. They have to designate a district management corporation whose job it is to reinvest that money directly back into the downtown. And so some key takeaways, some key highlights, right, is that it authorizes a management corporation. The management corporation is really important because all of us as small business owners, right, fend for ourselves many times, right, when we have a brick and mortar establishment on a main street. Right, we have to do our own marketing, we have to purchase our own advertising, right? We have to really put in the work to reach our customer. We also have to take care of our properties, right? We have to make sure our storefronts look nice. And so what the management corporation does is it creates an umbrella for you, right? It allows us to apply for grants. It applies us to, or it authorizes, or it enables us to create really unique programs and think outside the box as to how we reinvest in the ecosystem that supports businesses. It also provides an organized management structure. So too often when we go to a mall, right, and for those of you who are my age, I'm 39, I remember the height of mall culture. What we loved about malls was that all of our favorite stores were in one place. We could park in a parking lot, and even during the holiday season when we had to park in the back of the lot, right, and walk what felt like a mile into the mall, we would make that trek because we knew that we could find all of the things that we wanted, not just the stores, but the experience all in one place. I was a teenager at the height of the concert craze, where concerts would be held in malls, right? And so what people don't realize is that a lot of that doesn't happen by virtue of stores that are renting spaces and selling goods and services. It happens because the malls have an organized management structure that handles cleaning and beautification, that makes sure that the lighting is great and invites you to shop, that makes sure that there's cool music playing in the background, right? That makes sure that they're bringing these one-of-a-kind experiences like Santa in the middle of the mall, right? Like those concerts and boy bands that would come and play. For those of you who, again, might be my age or a little bit older, you'll remember that NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys started out playing high schools and malls, right? And so all of those things didn't happen by virtue of the business owners being there. It happened by virtue of management structure. And so what the Special Improvement District Ordinance does is it allows us to create a similar management structure that's in place to ensure that our downtown has a similar experience and a similar vibe. Funding. These things don't happen for free. It's very difficult to fund infrastructure improvements. If your sidewalk is broken in front of your business because there's a tree that's uprooting the sidewalk, if our lighting is not great, if our streets are dirty, if there's graffiti out on an abandoned building, who's taking care of that, right? So, and it's not free to manage. So what this does is it creates a stream of funding that we reinvest back into the district to make sure that these things are being taken care of, to make sure that there's proper planning, to make sure that we can come up with a strategic plan that will give us a roadmap for the next 3 to 5 years. We talked about plan development, right? Municipal support, right? We work hand in hand with the municipality, right? The municipalities have to be our supporters or else this system doesn't work. Governance. Ooh, bless you. There's a board that's in place that helps to manage the direction of the Special Improvement District, right? So it's not just one person that's sitting behind a desk making decisions as to what's going to happen in your district, right? It's going to be a group of vested stakeholders, right, that's going to come together and make sure that your interests are being represented with every decision that happens as a part of the Special Improvement District. We talked a little bit about project and services. Reporting and accountability is important because we can't just take money and do what we want with it, right? It's a state legislation. So we do have to provide annual audits that go back to the Department of Community Affairs. We do have to make sure that we have proper accounting practices in place to keep the organization honest and make sure that we're doing what needs to be done. And then there's an ability to renew and terminate, right? Because nothing is permanent. So there's an ability for us to establish the Special Improvement District and say it'll be subject to renewal after a certain amount of time. And then the benefits, right? I think I talked about some of those benefits in my diatribe, so I won't bore you guys anymore. But at the end of this presentation and on your tables, there is a card with a QR code and a website. It's called discoverdowntowndenellen.com. You can go to that website and all of this information is on there for you, and it'll talk at length about the benefits of a Special Improvement District. So, at the beginning of this presentation, we said that all roads lead to the creation of a Special Improvement District. And I don't just say that because the research that's been done dating back to 2017 all points in that direction, but I also say that because of the lessons that we learned during the height of the COVID pandemic. During COVID, as I'm sure many of you experienced, it was detrimental to the operation of small business owners. And it was detrimental to the community around the small businesses. It decimated our entrepreneurial ecosystem. And what the research shows is that those districts that had a Special Improvement District or similar program in place fared better than those that did not. And why is that? Well, it's because a Special Improvement District provides an advocate that advocates on behalf of businesses to connect them with resources, to help with technical assistance. One of the things that a lot of district management corporations did during the pandemic was sit down with businesses and help them apply for grants. Was sit down with businesses and help connect them with low interest loans that would help them make it over the hump. So the advocacy piece is extremely important, and I would say is of extreme value, right, to any district. What we've seen after COVID was an explosion of towns that were trying to establish a special improvement district. In Somerville, we created a grant program where we were able to take $50,000 out of our operating budget and provide $5,000 grants to each of our businesses. Or not each, to a certain number of businesses, right? So, and there was an application process, but the bottom line is that we connected business owners with funds, albeit small, that they didn't have to pay back, right? And you couldn't get that from the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, and you couldn't get that from the Department of Community Affairs, and you couldn't get that from the Small Business Administration, but the Special Improvement District was able to do that. So, again, we reviewed research going back to 2017. All of these studies are linked on that website, discoverdowntowndenellen.com. You guys can look at each and every one of them if you so wish. But there were some key takeaways that we gleaned from all of this research. So, first and foremost, there was community support for the establishment of a special improvement district. Over 50% of survey respondents supported the establishment of a special improvement district, which indicated that there was some semblance of community backing for an initiative like this in the future. There was economic revitalization needs that were realized as a result of the research. So there's a critical need for economic revitalization, focusing on attracting diverse businesses, as we've seen on the Mentee survey, and supporting existing ones through incentives and improved services. There was also an indication that there were needs for key infrastructure improvements, including modernized parking systems, enhanced pedestrian and bike-friendly pathways, and better public facilities. There were also traffic and parking issues that were noted, which I'm sure many of you are aware of. There was also sustainability and green initiative support. There was a strong demand for more public amenities, and there was a desire to address climate resilience. So there was also strong indication that the community valued arts, culture, and community engagement. There was support for mixed-use development that combined commercial and residential spaces that created a vibrant and dynamic downtown area. And then there was also a desire to incorporate more public feedback. And that's what we're doing here tonight. So we're very happy that you guys all came out today. So again, I want to give a quick shout out to you guys and thank you for being here. And you know, I have to shout out Ryan here, who set up our technology. He went to the lengths of getting me a clicker that I have not used once throughout the course of this presentation. So thank you, Ryan. And I will use the clicker for the last couple slides. All right. So what are we looking at in terms of a proposed district, right? And how do we look at a proposed district? So the things that we take into consideration when we're thinking about district boundaries, right, are potential development, that would include retail space, right, or dining space, or community space. And so what we did was we kind of mapped out a proposal for the district that starts around, I believe it was Jefferson, and comes all the way down to Smalley and incorporates portions of North and South Washington Avenue. So we start out large, right, so that we can incorporate your feedback and tweak it accordingly so that we can have a district that makes the most sense, right? And there are things that we have to take into account. And it's not just the businesses and the potential businesses that will be coming into the district, but it's also connectivity for experiences and events. The reality is that at this moment in time, we are living in the midst of an experience economy, right? People are looking for an experience that's going to get them out of the house, right, to come out into your downtown, right, and even get you out and into the mall, right? We all know that we have Amazon at our fingertips. I have always been an online shopper, right, but I also like to support small business. So I make it a point to shop at small businesses for clothes, right, fashion. And not too long ago, I ran into a friend of mine and she was wearing this really wonderful dress. And I said, hey, where'd you get that dress? And she said, I got it on Amazon. Think about that. We are now shopping for clothing on Amazon. We are now getting our groceries delivered by services like Instacart, which, by the way, you pay a premium for. I think somebody did the math and it's almost $1 extra per item if you're using Instacart. And so what is going to motivate us to forego the click of Amazon and come out into our local downtown district? Well, it's the experience. It's the events. It's what I like to call the breadcrumbs, right? It's the fact that I can park all the way at the top of a district and make my way down to the bottom of the district and find something new to experience in every part of that. Whether it's a street musician that's playing in front of a business, whether it's a muralist who's painting a mural in another part of the district, whether it's a pop-up shop or pop-up event that's happening in a vacancy, right? All of those things are possible when we get together as a community and start to think outside the box. And that's what I think a special improvement does for us. So again, this is not set in stone. This is just what we have put together as a recommendation as we walked the district and seen the potential for the special improvement district. This is something that we'll be working closely with the mayor and council to finalize before anything happens. And so the next item that I want to talk to you about is special improvement district structures, right? There are two main types of structures that are seen with special improvement districts. And the first is the nonprofit structure, and then the second is in and of the municipality, right? Both of them operate very similarly. They both have the same rules and regulations. The only difference, right, is that when you're in and of the municipality, you're working within the municipal government structure. So those are the two options that we have. Now, I know that the question that must be on everybody's mind is, what about the assessment, right? What is this assessment and how does it work? So there are various types of assessment. We have assessment that's based on property value. We have assessment that's based on frontage. We have assessment that's based on square footage. And we have a hybrid approach as well as minimum and maximum assessments. What's most frequently seen in the state of New Jersey is assessment based on property value, which is our recommendation should we decide to move forward with a SID, because we find that that structure is the most equitable. So the method involves calculating the assessment based on the assessed value of the properties within the special improvement district. And within this structure, each property owner pays a proportionate share based on the value of their property in relation to the total assessed value of all the properties within the SID. I hate math, but I did incorporate the actual mathematical equation there for you. But again, right, this actually makes it a little bit more equitable in comparison to the other assessment types. So that concludes my presentation about the ins and outs of special improvement districts. Again, if you scan this QR code, which is also on the cards on your table, You can access all of this information at discoverdowntowndenellen.com. Thank you for your attention. I want to introduce a couple of special guests that we have here today, and I hope that they would help answer some of your questions about the ins and outs and the benefits of special improvement districts. So I'd like to give them a quick introduction. So we have Mike Kerwin, who is the former mayor of Somerville, under which the special improvement district was created. Mike, if you want to come and take a seat here at our panel table.
Oh, don't forget I'm a Denellen native.
He's also a Denellen native, which we love, right? The Kerwins have a long history in Denellen, and so when we started kind of planning for this initiative, you know, Mike expressed his interest in coming to the table and being involved, and we said 100% we'd love to have you. We have Rick St. Pierre. Rick is the owner of Verve. If you're familiar with Somerville, Verve is a restaurant on East Main Street. He's also a property owner, so he can really speak to the value of the district from a property owner's perspective as that of a restaurateur. So we thank Rick for giving us his time. He does have a big Halloween event tomorrow, so we're happy that he gave us
we had a water break today.
We did have a water
I had to talk
break.
to the public health to be open. We had a lot of little things going on. So I'm happy to, any of your fears, Mike too, any of your fears, any things that you think are an issue, we'll tell you about how beneficial it could be as an SID.
And Maria is in the back. Maria's gonna make her way down here. So Maria is the owner of Osprey Lane Boutique, and I asked Maria to come out here despite being in a booth because, be careful, we don't need you in another. We got it.
I may, I don't know. I
Yes.
have to leave. My wife just yelling at me.
Oh,
I love the idea.
thank you.
I love the idea. I don't want to hold you guys up. I'm sorry that I cut you guys off.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. So Maria, I invited Maria here because women's retail is one of those industries that, you know, is a very fickle industry, right? And I think that, you know, Maria has been able to thrive in Somerville with her clothing boutique. She's in the process of opening a home store up the street. And I think that, you know, her opinion and her thoughts here are extremely relevant. And so we thank Maria for being here today.
Thank you.
Maria and I became acquainted when she was looking for a space in downtown Somerville. And Maria had a really awesome concept where she was running a clothing boutique out of a trailer. And she would set up her trailer at Turf, Surf, and Earth,
Yep.
right? And it really became a hit. So we're happy to have them all here today. And I want to ask a couple of questions. I want to start off with a few questions that I have for the team. And then I look forward to turning it over to you guys to ask whatever questions you guys might have, right? So first and foremost, I want to talk about the benefits of special improvement districts for community growth and economic vitality. And for those of you who don't know, I don't think I properly introduced myself. So in addition to being the founder and CEO of Inc. Creative Strategies, I'm the former executive director of the Downtown Somerville Alliance. I'm the current downtown managing consultant for Downtown Bound Brook. We also do work with the Perth Amboy Business Improvement Corporation, and I'm also the executive director of Downtown New Jersey. So although we were supposed to have Robin Lapidus from Flemington, who's their executive director. She had an emergency this evening and she can't make it. So I will be filling the role of the executive director for this evening's conversation. So again, question for the panel, anybody can jump in. And I think maybe Mike, this might be for you. Can you talk about how creating a SID transformed the town's downtown area, and what were the biggest benefits that you observed for the community as a whole? As I mentioned, the Special Improvement District was created when Mike was the mayor. So Mike, I think this is a great question for you.
Thank you. So we had the benefit of about 30 years experience. When I was mayor back in the late 80s, Bridgewater Commons had just opened. So the future of downtowns in general was bleak, to put it mildly. So I was kind of desperately looking for a tool that we could use to basically survive at that point. And Special Improvement District legislation was brand new. We were the fourth town in the state to do it. And the crucial insight, which Natalie's already mentioned tonight, that downtowns are great because everyone in a downtown who's a merchant is by definition an entrepreneur. They're independent. They think outside the box. They have a great story to tell about what they're trying to do with their business. But as great as that is, it's a competitive disadvantage to the regional shopping center, who by definition have common management. So the benefit of the Special Improvement District is that the downtowns can act in a united way and implement policies that can improve the competitive position of everyone who's operating downtown. That was kind of speculative back then. Now it's established fact. That's the benefit. You have a professional downtown management association to improve the business environment and give a competitive advantage to the businesses operating in downtown Denellen, to everyone's benefit. The other thing we learned over the last decades is, as nice as Natalie's experience is walking in the mall, in a way, it's not as authentic as walking in a downtown. There's certain more human, more community, more something hard to describe that you can only get by walking a downtown and experiencing that sense of community. I think what Denellen has, that's gold. And I think now there's a trend that appreciates that, which presents an opportunity for Denellen, because I think Denellen has a great downtown, frankly. You've got assets that Somerville doesn't have. You have a theater, for example. Fantastic. This space is, we would die for this space. If we could move this space to Somerville, that would be great.
If I could
But
add to what Mike
it's a great community, right? That's what I'm trying to say.
I want to add to Mike too, because coming into town, I was really impressed, because I haven't been in for a while. I haven't been to the Denellen Hotel since you guys opened up. It's good to see you, brother. But the wayfinding signage, the LED, perfect. The cultural maintenance of your buildings, perfect. The light posts that you put in, which is historically correct for the area with that look, perfect. So you're already kind of doing the work of getting that cohesive brand together. And again, with the management, that just brings it to another level.
So Rick, I think you as a business owner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we know that restaurants are anchors.
Yeah.
What are some of the and you've also been on the Downtown Somerville Alliance for, what is it, 25 years?
I've been on the Downtown Somerville Alliance. When I first came to the town 28 years ago, I came to this group of people that had a $125,000 budget, and they got all upset with me because I said, I can be here today and I'll come back 2 years from now, and it's like watching Peyton Place, watching with my mother soap operas during the day, because it's the same thing over and over and over again. And then when we got professional management, that was I came in 96, we started to get professional management in 2021, which was the Downtown Management Corporation at the time, then became the Downtown Somerville Alliance to give it more of a community feel. That's when we really started to blossom, and now our assessment is close to $900,000, and will be, because of development and developers, over $1 million in the next year and a half or so, which is a good amount of money to use to benefit us. But the question was, I'm sorry.
It's fine. That's great. One of the things, that's wonderful. Thank you. The question was, right, what are some of the innovative initiatives that we've been able to create and implement as a result of the Special Improvement District? And before you jump in, I do want to talk a little bit about my friends in Flemington.
Okay.
So Robin Lapidus started in Flemington around the same time that I started in downtown Somerville. And for those of you who know Flemington has been in a period of growth and renewal. And since she came to the table, not only has the Stangl Cultural Arts District blossomed, but there's been some really innovative programs that they've been able to advocate for with the municipality that has enabled them to drive additional foot traffic and make additional money. And so the one I want to bring up today, because I already talked about our grant program in downtown Somerville during COVID, is their open container ordinance, which was passed by council to allow customers to basically buy alcoholic beverages at their distillery or their brewery, and basically from Friday afternoon through Sunday, allow them to walk around the cultural district and go into shops and restaurants and enjoy their beverages on their walk through the district.
Yeah.
If you approach a municipal government with that idea, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be told, absolutely not. I've experienced it in tons of places. But through the Special Improvement District, they were able to have an advocate that came to the table and really pushed for it and got the community support. I always talk about community because the Special Improvement District doesn't work unless we have the community at the table. So through the community support, through her advocacy, through the ability to work with mayor and council to create a creative and unique ordinance, they now have this open container ordinance that's enabled them to host micro events, that's enabled them to drive traffic to their businesses. They've even started a once-a-month sip and stroll, which is an organized event where you can come out into the district and they have music going on and they have all kinds of things that are happening throughout the district that you can enjoy with a drink from the brewery or the distillery. And so I really wanted to bring that up as a great example of innovation, right? Because we're not just in the business of creating a special improvement district so that we can, just have great sidewalks, right? Or have great amenities in the district. We're here to bring minds together that represent the businesses and the properties within the district, right? To create innovative programs. So Maria, I want to turn it over to you because I think when we met, you had really great marketing, right, for your business. You had this wonderful, trailer that you would bring out to all of your events. And so talk to me a little bit about why you chose Somerville and how the Special Improvement District has helped your business become established, right, and even grow into the second location.
Sure. So first of all, I lived in Denellen. Fun fact for me, way back in 1992. So it's always been such a really cute, adorable downtown. So kudos to you guys. But I came into town. We were looking between Lambertville and Somerville. We live in Bridgewater now. And to me, downtown Somerville is my downtown. It's Bridgewater's downtown. It's where we always go. They have the best restaurants, as far as I'm concerned. It was just a little community. And so when my husband and I were looking into opening up the business, Somerville was our first priority. It was a little bit difficult to get into there and to get responses and things like that, but once we did it, it seemed to me like a very friendly place. Everybody seemed to be friends with each other. Businesses all knew each other, and the sense of community in Somerville seemed like something that I would have wanted to have been a part of rather than Lambertville. Does that answer?
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about the. So one of the things that I loved working with you on was events, right? Because as we know, Division Street has become, a mecca for all of our events. And I remember going up to Maria and saying, Maria, we're having a girls' night out, and I really want to drive foot traffic to your business. Would you set up a pop-up on Division Street? And she obliged. And talk to me a little bit about the ability to do those pop-ups. Talk to us a little bit about the marketing that the DSA has been able to help your business with, and the events and what that's done for you guys.
Yeah, so one of the greatest things about being downtown is the DSA and their ability to advertise for all of our small businesses. They have great social media, so they promote all our businesses. They do a lot. When I first started and Natalie was there, we had small business Saturday signs in front of our stores. We had small business, the three-way signs on every corner promoting all of our businesses. The DSA just really does a lot as I'm sure that they would do for you guys too, to bring people into your town. Even if it's just your residents around that really aren't familiar with all that you have to offer, they create such a sense of community through their marketing that it does nothing but want to get people into your town, into your businesses, and to help support that. So when Natalie came to me and said, would you mind doing a pop-up? Your store's not open yet, but this would be a great way to kind of introduce you to the town. I was all for it. And one of the things that Natalie said to me that I will never forget is, we will market for your business, but we will not get people into your door. Like, that's your responsibility. So they, as a community for us, help get you guys to our town, to our community, but it really is up to us as a business owner to get them through our front door. Rick, would you agree with that as a business owner?
Yeah, and I wanted to add something too that Natalie didn't touch on that much, which I'm surprised because she touches on everything, so I don't know why she didn't get on this one. But when you have this organized management program, you have a developed website, you have a developed brand. With you, the community decides, what do you want your downtown Dunellen look to look like? And when you're competing with the Amazons and when you're competing with the digital footprints, you have an advocacy, a management group, a brand, a website, all the listing, all the linking, all the social media that allows you to compete on that level as well as your brick and mortar establishment. So as you do more of a digital footprint in your businesses, online ordering, anything that you do that would come from the outside in, the availability is there through the management of this program so that you are working as one cohesive unit, not individually competing for that piece. You're working as a team, as a community, as a downtown Dunellen to get all those pieces together. Because you do have infrastructure, which is planning and policy and zoning. You have management, which is Natalie and that group. You have maintenance, keeping it clean, presentable, and nice, and of course
Safe.
marketing events. You know, marketing events are always really close together. So those things bring the special sauce to what it means to give your voice bigger than the next community, or at least your voice is unique for your community. And that's what makes it so special.
Thank you, Rick. So I think that the question on everybody's mind, right, is what is the return on the investment, right? And Rick, I think you have a unique perspective here because you're both a business and a property owner. So my question to you is, what financial or operational value do you feel the SID has brought to your property? The follow-up question is, you know, as
Talking too much.
as a board member, and Mike, you can talk about this too, have you seen an increase, or did you see an increase in tenant interest or property value as a direct result of the SID?
Well, I'll do the quick property value thing. I mean, the property owner thing in terms of ROI.
Yeah.
And Mike you can talk about from the resident point of view because that'll just blow it up. But the ROI from a property owner, I couldn't leave my business for the first 2 years. I've been in business for 28 years. I couldn't leave it for the first, maybe 5 or 6 years. And that's because I was too busy trying to develop, you know, my business. And then when the DSA, the Main Street program, I got involved with that. What I saw from an ownership point of view as the property is the money that I invest that helps us all. I have better retention of renters. I have better, I would say, more stability in how long they stay. I have a message that's cohesive. I have the ability to talk to the planning board, the zoning director, the administrator, through my advocate manager, which is the SID director, downtown Dunellen, so that I have a voice. I can do my work. I have the voice. The percentage to return from my property is not incredible when you're trying to do, and I'll give this example, when you're trying to do this one thing called a cohesive, beautiful look. If from the planning board perspective or policy in town where I have to be in charge of my part of the sidewalk, if I hire my individual guy to replace my bricks or cement, to do my light, to do my tree, what I'm responsible for by ordinance, then here comes the scarecrow of Main Street, where everybody has their own patchwork of however they're gonna do what they're gonna do. So I think the value of the buy-in from the property owner perspective is consistent management, consistent work, consistent infrastructure development, consistent management and policy to our governing body, because now you have a message and you have something that looks good and it's not piecemealed all over the place if you let each individual property owner make their individual decision for their individual needs. So it's very important to be consistent.
And Rick, before I turn it over to Mike, I think to your point, and Maria, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that, or it's actually, the data shows that special improvement districts actually attract more diverse businesses than districts that don't have a special improvement district. And I think, Maria, a lot of the things, now that you're on the inside, I think a lot of the things that attracted you to the town were a lot of the work that the DSA was doing to create this experience.
Yeah, it was the community, it was the experience, it was speaking to other businesses and hearing their feedback about how they have been in town for 20, 25 years, and just knowing that that was something that I had wanted to be a part of.
So Mike, I'll turn it over to you in terms of property values and vacancy, right? Because you were there when Main Street, you could see a tumbleweed.
Yeah. Yeah, the boom 1980s in Somerset County was hard to believe how much activity was going on. And in those boom years, 11 out of 21 towns in our county lost population. The growth was not universal. Somerville's population was basically, in fact, we're just about reaching where we were in 1960. So that's, I don't know what Denellan's stats are, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's similar. So there was zero investment. When I mean there was no investment, I mean there was no investment. And we needed to do something. We created a special improvement district, and then the turning point came when a company based from Belgium said, you know what, we don't want to go locate our corporate headquarters along an interstate. We're from Europe. We like downtowns. We like the experience of being able to walk, to shop, to converse, take hikes. And so they moved to downtown Somerville. Now, you would think our zoning would welcome that. No, we had to change our zoning. It was a wake-up call. We had zoning that really was based on the township sprawl model, not the downtown model. So we learned that lesson quickly. And if you look at downtown Somerville now, of course, it's been dramatically changed with a lot of housing in particular and new investment. But that started with the special improvement district.
And the research shows that about 35% of businesses do better and last longer, right? The longevity piece when they are in a special improvement district. I will say that we were extremely fortunate in Somerville during COVID that we only lost about 10 businesses in the entire district. And as those businesses left, because the special improvement district worked with our local real estate, our commercial real estate agents to have businesses in the pipeline, we were able to get businesses to fill the spaces that were becoming vacant. And so we really fared very well. And of course, turnover is natural in any district, right? But the fact that we were able to fill those spaces so quickly was a direct result of having this organized management structure. So thank you guys so much for answering those questions. I now want to open it up to you guys, our audience, to ask any questions that you might have about the Special Improvement District. Ask our panelists about their experience as business owners, property owners, elected officials, and hopefully we can impart some of our knowledge to you. Yes?
Yeah. I've actually seen Somerville and Rick and Mike. I mean, what Somerville has become, what it is now versus a couple of decades ago is just amazing. And it is a place that everyone wants to go to, but the composition of Somerville is dramatically different than the composition of Denellen.
Sure.
And when I think of the primary part of Main Street in Denellen, you're trying to get traffic to come in to Main Street. You have a gas station, post office, and I'm just looking at what I would consider the heart of Denellen. You have a parking lot, municipal building. Then down the street you have, I guess, a repair shop. You have tropical, and then an auto zone. So the question is really what does that leave in terms of a percentage of a Main Street to put things there to attract people? That would be the first question I had.
Sure. So I think that from a management perspective, and you guys can jump in, obviously, Mike, I'm sure you can speak to this from a municipal perspective. A lot of the work of a special improvement district is not a, it's a long journey, right? And part of it involves strategic planning. And it involves getting everybody together at the table to have a cohesive vision as to what we want for our downtown. So it's not just going to be a district manager or a community development person sitting behind a desk, right, saying, we're going to put a band in this repair shop driveway, right? It's going to be all of us coming together and saying what makes the most sense for the district. It's also going to mean, as some of these spaces become vacant, working with the right community partners to attract the types of businesses that we want to come into the district. One of the things that we haven't touched on yet is about business recruitment and retention, which is something that the special improvement districts do with the help of various organizations. Downtown New Jersey is a resource for that, ICSC is a resource for that. And so we work together with those community partners and with our community to create a vision and say, what do we want it to look like? And so it doesn't happen overnight, right? But with that vision and that plan in place, it helps us go out and say, we want these businesses to come to the table, right? We can work with the mayor and say, we want this redevelopment because it's beneficial to our downtown. Mayor, you have a comment.
Two things. Speaking
Yes.
about the redevelopment, also, like, such as where you're talking about where it's the gas station, it's all within our redevelopment zone. So the goal is at some point it's all cohesively developed, retail and bottom. So as those projects also come up on top of also historic buildings, you know, the property owners who are invested in the downtown and happy that they continue to own these properties, is also how we manage getting those properties filled with a diverse, I guess you can say, business that's not already existing in Denellen and would get direct competition possibly. The other thing is, I think I might have missed it, Natalie, and I apologize if I did, and if I'm reiterating it, is the board of directors for the special improvement district is made up of property owners and business owners within that district.
Yes.
So it's not like we're having a separate agency where it's elected officials handling it. It's you guys having, and gals having your own voice for the district on how you want it to come together. So it's kind of, it is giving you an authority and a governing power as a property owner and business owner in the district to determine its future overall outside of your own separate parcel of land that you own.
So has there been any thought to like what a 5-year plan would look like in terms of the downtown for Denellen? Because quite frankly, you have a couple pros that are, I think towns would kill for. You have Denell. You just brought all those people in at Denell. I see what happened with Somerville, and they just keep building out to the highway. So, you know, Rick, you're gonna kill it. You can blow.
Yeah, they're all around.
We don't have my place all the time, it'd be your place.
We don't just have a 5-year plan, we have a 10-year plan. It's called our master plan. It's online.
Yes.
And that's our guiding factor.
And some of the other things that you have, I think, going for you, but there are, I still see the downtown is limited, like a limited area that you can attract people to, but Middlesex doesn't have one, so you can
Right.
attract that town. So I see like, there's a lot of positives that I would see that would help business owners, even if you have multiple restaurants, and you believe there's a ton of restaurants in Somerville, and they just attract people to go there, so you do have surrounding towns that can do that. Just trying to envision the transformation of downtown Denellen from an auto parts store, a hockey rink, post office, a gas station, and a tropical food
Well,
store.
I think
And I'm not making light
No,
of
I
those businesses
understand.
at all.
But I think that's, it's all part of the overall, as these property owners that, like, we have a used car dealership alongside the old Strickler location where the rest was collected. As they go to sell, how do we work with the SID as well as the municipality's efforts to have that property redeveloped into something that makes sense for the downtown? But I would would say also Somerville still continues to have that issue because they have a used car lot right in the center of their
You do,
downtown.
100%.
So it's a long-term goal here I think we're trying to accomplish. And if I can be transparent, it's bringing property owners and business owners who are in the downtown 9 to 5 and they go home respectfully because that's what we want to do, but also giving them a voice and a stakeholdership and a commitment to as we move this town forward, the longevity of the downtown. Because then if you have just our side, the mayor and council and planning board just doing their efforts, and there's no buy-in from the business community or property, commercial district, the commercial property owners, then it's almost like you're leaving half of that on the table. So this is an effort that we all work cohesively together to build a shared vision for the downtown.
And I will say, just from a planning perspective, right? You know, when I talk about special improvement districts, one of the things that I focus on is revitalization, right? It's not just redevelopment, it's not just special improvement district, it's revitalization. And so too often what I see, and I used to work at the New Jersey Redevelopment Authority, is that developers come to the table and they often don't think about how their developments are affecting small business owners, right? And how they're affecting the downtown. What I love about the special improvement district and the organized management concept is that you have somebody, a dedicated person, to be brought to the table to ensure that there is revitalization that's taking place and not just development. And with that, we create our own strategic plan, right? So the special improvement district has their own strategic plan that we've worked in Somerville. We did a streetscape plan to revision infrastructure, and we then presented that to the mayor and council, who then adopted that as part of the master plan, right? In the reanalysis or the reexamination of the master plan. So those are the things that the advocacy piece, right, that are so important, because it enables us to work with you to say, what do we want to see? How do we bring business owners to the table to make sure that the vision is cohesive, that it's not just our vision, that it's also the municipality's vision as well?
I just want to add something really quickly, because Mary, you hit it spot on with the redevelopment declaration of an area. And then, Jimmy, with I wish Robin was here because Flemington has the same challenges. You know, Flemington created an off Main Street section. That's where this alcohol is being done. It's like an art area because they have the same challenges of a small Main Street with development around them and a highway right next to them. So the thing is to maintain the cultural integrity of your business district is to have the planning part put in, so when these developers do come, they have to develop based upon your plan, your needs, and they buy into this, so your assessment does go up dramatically. When we talk about there's a difference between resident, business owner, property owner, and the big thing we really didn't get into is developer. When that developer comes into the game, then the assessment goes up, and when you properly strategic plan your area, now they have to operate within what your zoning and planning has decided for your community as you're involved, and therefore that gives you the springboard to say, yeah, you can develop here, but we also need this, and we also need this. It gives you skin in the game and gives you advantage as a business. Just saying. So when you figure out where you want it to be, just like Flemington has, doing the right infrastructure policy gives you all the ability to work with developers at a greater level.
Mike, can you talk to us a little bit about the journey, right? Because we talked about the fact that this doesn't happen overnight. Can you tell us a little bit about when the investment started, what were those preliminary investments, and how long it took to materialize?
It took a long time. Part of it was we needed to, Somerville made mistakes, right? We had a redevelopment project back in the 70s, and we tore down a lot of, this is when federal money was all over the place, and we tore down a square block of our downtown. And what we put in was a one-story strip shopping center facing an interior parking lot with its rear end pointing to Main Street, set back from the Main Street. It should have been multi-story, it should have been facing Main Street, and it should have been mixed use. So we put a suburban single-story strip mall type thing in the middle of our downtown. What were we thinking? So part of it was learning how to plan properly and do your redevelopment process and vision. And the great thing about a special improvement district is you have a seat at the table. It's your money. It's not the residents paying the tax. It's the assessment is being paid by the downtown property owners. So this is the mechanism to help work closely with the town to shape that future. And then the results, so it was like a dam bursting. And it was predictable that the suburban sprawl model would come to an end because the world has never been developed that way. It would return to the way people typically live, in centers. What was so shocking was how quickly the change happened. It happened in 2008. All of a sudden, the tidal wave started coming back to our downtowns. And Somerville was ready. We were ready. So when the developers came in to us, we had a vision. We weren't reacting to the developers' vision. They were reacting to our vision. And that's really the opportunity I see that Ellen has. I agree with your point, sir. That's not how I would design a downtown if we were starting from scratch. But you got some great assets. The library is fantastic. You got a train station.
Key.
The transit-oriented, we could have a whole 2 nights on that, just on transit-oriented development. And you already have a track record, what the old art color. So you got some momentum going, but it's going to take a while.
Don't you think Mike considered the Denellen or Denellen resident? You're comparing Denellen to the county seat of Somerset County.
Yes, there's differences.
There's a huge difference there.
Yes, yeah, there's some advantages. You're absolutely right.
Huge advantage to have an anchor like that.
Yes, you're right.
The only comment I was going to make is that I've been involved in Westfield SID for 17 years. And initially, I've seen it evolve, the SID, from initially one of advocating for the downtown shop owners to now a top-down being dictated by more the mayor and council. So it's really just, no longer, that position over time evolved from an advocate for downtown shop owners to now just another position under the mayor and council.
So Peg, what I would say to that, right, is that that's a fundamental organizational flaw, right? When we create our bylaws and we create what the board structure looks like, it's our job as board members to be advocates for the organization, right? And things become political. We've seen it in downtown Somerville, we've seen it in Westfield, right? We've seen it in other places. But that's why it's so important to have business owners and property owners at the table that are committed, right? Because that commitment.
Well, they basically have lost their voice though, because there wasn't a lot of autonomy in the beginning with the SID and with that office.
Right.
But now there is not. Over time, it's devolved to a
right.
point where it's really just another position.
And I think that really, right, is about how we structure the organization, right? A lot of organizations start out as a part of the municipality, but eventually, once they have their footing and they've grown to a point where they can operate independently, they become a nonprofit. And that nonprofit structure gives them a certain amount of autonomy. And I'll tell you that from experience at the Boundbrook Revitalization Partnership, where we had a similar situation where the SID became, very political, and we had council members that were saying, we're not going to approve your special assessment check if this doesn't happen. And we were able to come back and say, well, guess what? We're a 501c3. You cannot have control over our money. Once you approve our budget, you have to give us the money, right? We were able to say, you cannot approve our board members because then we're not an autonomous agency, right? And that's not our recommendation to start, right? I think to start, you definitely need to be in and of the municipal government because they become so much of a partner when you have a smaller budget. But as the organization grows and evolves, right, it becomes more possible to become an independent entity, to become a nonprofit, right, and to be able to have a lot more flexibility with what we do and how we do it, right? And so it is all about the structure and how we create our bylaws, how we select our board members. And so we want to work together with the municipal government. They are our partners in the endeavor, right? But we are also, as the mayor said, we want the business owners to have ownership, the stakeholders, the property owners to have ownership of the organization and to be able to come to the table.
Could I
as
make
partners.
a comment really quick too, when you said that Somerville is a county seat, but you'd be surprised, me being there, coming on over 28, 29 years, how little the county really contributes to the vibrancy of Main Street. They have their own inside eating, they have their own inside stuff, people come and go. They really don't contribute to our overall success, marketing, or people. What we were just.
People coming to the town, their incomes are a little bit higher than other towns are going to. They're gonna spend a little bit more money.
But what I'm saying is
Yeah.
that typically, I hear you, but typically the county is not the issue. Who surrounds us, I think, is. But the success of Main Street proper is proper zoning that I think was done, I can attest, is it in the 30s, I believe, where they took the risk of mixed use zoning, which you saw on the board. You want more mixed use. Mixed use created Main Street. I've always said it becomes a problem with Main Street when you have pitched roofs, because it's hard to build around pitched roofs. It's easy to build around flat roofs. So they just made that choice, and I think part of the zoning question is how do you create your region, your area, with the zoning that you have, and then enhance upon it, as we said earlier, because once you have a seat at the table with developers, it changes the game.
Yeah, so you're right, Richie. There is differences. The county is our largest employer. Forget the fact they're government. They bring a lot of people to town, and the demographics surrounding Somerville probably a little bit more on the upside in terms of income availability than we have a lot of corporations. But let me just give you this observation. When I was a kid, we moved eventually to Greenbrook, off of Warrenville Road. But but Denellen was still our downtown. There's no downtown in Greenbrook. There's no downtown in Middlesex. There's no downtown in Piscataway. You're surrounded by opportunity as far as I can see. They all wanted downtown. Greenbrook had a NJ Planning Association grant from the NJTPA, I think it's called, how to create a downtown. Good luck. Their downtown is right here, Denellen.
So,
My brother runs a bar crawl. He's not heading west. The destination, I think, is Zupco's, isn't it, Richie?
Yes. All over town, yeah.
I think I'm that is that.
Yeah, I think he makes it to the hotel too.
so the
But
way-
my point is, you have a Main Street that a lot of towns don't. That's an asset.
And if I can make a point really quick, what we have right now that Somerville didn't have at the time is that we're in the crux of redevelopment, the project section coming up, which helps with the overall commercial value.
Yes.
And the investment that can be made into a SID that could be the direct benefit to those businesses, versus back then you didn't have the development that we currently have in Denellen at this
No
point.
question. You're correct.
Foundation. So I know there's questions here and here. I'm going to go here since we haven't heard from you yet, and then we'll come back to you,
It's not
Jim.
even a question.
Yes.
I just want to coattail off what he said. My wife and I, we just happen to be residents of Somerville, but we're business owners here. But I do agree that Denellen is a central location to like Piscataway, Greenbrook, Plainfield, Middlesex. So the corridor, I guess we're kind of speaking about is North Avenue.
Yes.
Which is the main corridor. It's about curb appeal, pretty much. So that should be the focal point of everything. I mean, prior to actually opening a business here, I didn't know much about Denellen. So I guess the means of bringing outside clientele to here would be that curb appeal.
Sure.
And bring it up and modernize it.
Sure.
In the train.
Jim, back to you.
So if this is approved, then the businesses are, property owners are assessed. I don't know if it's just commercial property owners or residential.
Commercial.
Residential, commercial.
Yes.
And the SID is established, and you said it's a one-year contract. How do you measure the success of that contract?
So it wouldn't be, it would be however long, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said that the contracts are renewed at the end of every year.
No, so it is renewable, right? So we would, with mayor and council, decide how long before we would bring it up for renewal.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
My research has ordinances, historically, correct me if I'm wrong, sunset the ordinance after 5 years.
Yes.
And then there's a renewal
Okay,
period.
so there's a fair amount of money that will go into this. So
Yes.
really what I'm asking is, how do you measure the success of this program? And in what time intervals do you do that? To the point where are we throwing good money after bad money? I mean,
Sure.
every business right now, with everything that's going on, with our input costs going up, margins are tight, and now we have to find another line item to go out where, how do we measure that intangible?
Sure. So I could certainly take this question, but I don't know if you guys want to talk a little bit about historically how we've measured in Somerville what success is.
Well, I think Jim's question is a little more complex because when you have a 5-year window, how are you gonna
Yeah.
do that? I mean, when you saw what Natalie can do with just this Menti thing, she's on top of the digital world. She's on top of the understanding of the numbers, right? So I think what you do with your planning, your zoning, your borough, and if you go the direction of having a management team, you decide in 5 years, what is your strategic plan? What do you
Yeah.
plan to get done in 5 years?
Rick, to
and
your
then that'll
point-
be valuable.
Yeah, to your point, it's about the strategic plan, right?
Yeah.
When we start the organization, we will create a strategic plan, or the management corporation will create a strategic plan. That plan will take us through those 5 years. That plan will have goals. That plan will have implementation strategies, right? And we measure against that. So traditionally, what we'll find as part of a strategic plan not only has to do with vacancies and recruitment and retention and what the overall vacancy rate in the district is, but it also includes data that we collect from business owners and property owners about sales figures, right? About success of their business. We also quantify by looking at our events and what our foot traffic is like at those events, right? And it all depends on what your goals are, right? Maybe Denellen's goal is not to attract foot traffic from the outside. Maybe it's to attract more residents, right? And we collect data to be able to show whether or not we've accomplished that, right? And so then it's up to the business owners, right, as that are representing the stakeholders in the district to say, did we accomplish this goal or did we not? Right? And if we didn't accomplish this goal, is it because we just didn't have enough time to accomplish it, or is it because there's a fundamental flaw? Right? So again, we create the plan together, we set the goals, we set the evaluation, we set the measurement criteria, and then we come back. What I would do in Somerville every year is I would create an annual report, right? Mike would sit with me when he was chairman and we'd create the theory of the business for the year, right? We would set the goals for the year that related back to the strategic plan, and at the end of the year, I would come to the table with an annual report to talk to you guys, our stakeholders, right? To let you know what our progress was on all of these initiatives, right? So it's not just putting in money, right? We're actually looking at what our progress is towards achieving the goals that are set forth in that strategic plan.
Can I rephrase the question differently, if you don't
Yeah.
mind? Because we have two different types of property owners and business owners in this room. We have two property owners, or someone who is running a property. We have two property owners, one who manages a property that has multiple units in it that can be rented out, and one would arguably say this could benefit them for attraction and retention.
Sure.
Then you have property owners who are property owners plus business owners with the same establishment. So how this for traction and retention is going to impact these two over here, these three over here differently versus the three over there.
Right, like
So
I
can you?
primarily have residents who have been with us for 20 plus years. So, you know, this is not gonna necessarily change anything.
So, how does it benefit, yeah, 2 storefronts, but, I'm sorry, I didn't even see you over there, Heidi, I was looking at Ash, Rob, and Martha, but arguably you too, because you do have 2 retail. How does it benefit those owners? The owners that are property owners with sole proprietorship in the building in which they
Well,
are.
how that helps them technically is 20 years, your value was X. With development and what's going on, if you do this management, your property values will increase tremendously. If you look at, again, the Somerville model, but you look at the Flemington model, any vibrant Main Street increases the viability of your property easily 20%. I mean, when I came into Somerville in '96, I won't go into the numbers, but I'll tell you I'm probably 4 times worth what it was that I invested 28 years ago. Homes a block off of Main Street in Somerville that were selling in 2018-19 for $325 are now $525. So does it increase the property value when you have a vibrant Main Street and a dedicated Main Street and a dedicated plan and a brand, and you sell to the community? And by the way, this is not just about Denellen selling to Denellen, is Denellen brand selling to everyone else around you in a 20-mile radius. Now you have investment ROI that makes sense.
And I'll also say it has to do with, again, you mentioned recruitment and retention, right? When you have a thriving downtown, it makes your property, your retail spaces more attractive for small business owners. You know, there are fundamental flaws, right? You know, spaces that are 6,000 square feet right now just aren't it, right? You've got small business owners that are looking for 2,500, 3,000 square feet at max. But that's where we come in, because we work with property owners to connect them with interested businesses, right? When you have a management corporation that's the central head of the district, interested business owners are going to come to you and say, hey, downtown Denellen, we really want to open a store in your district. Do you have any vacancies, right? And it's then that we can connect with business owners. So we did that for Maria. Maria and I sat down, and you know, she told me she wanted to open a space in Somerville, and I said, I think I have the perfect space for you, right? And I was able to connect her with a property owner, and the rest is history. And so Maria, correct me if I'm wrong,
1.5 years later.
Your second store is with the same property owner.
Same property
correct?
owner, yeah. Yep.
Do you have an historical advisory commission here that does the lamp posts and does the LED sign and does, like, what group keeps you relevant now? How do you do it now? Is it just the governing body? What's that?
It's a redevelopment agency, which is currently mayor and council with advice from the Denellen Downtown Management Organization.
Okay.
So we had a question over here.
Well, it's a comment. To address the question of how do you know when it works? You know it works when it works. It doesn't happen overnight. I grew up in Monmouth County. Monmouth County has 3 towns with downtowns: Freehold, Keyport, and Red Bank.
Yep.
And I moved down from Red County, 1969. I was 12 years old. I still live down there. And it took
Can I ask you to just come forward a little bit so that you can project into the room? I'm sorry.
It took forever for those towns to come back. Red Bank did it first. Freehold only the past 10 years.
Yep.
Keyport only the past 5 years. And they didn't do it until they did something. And now you can't find a restaurant to rent in Freehold. You can't find a restaurant to rent or a store to rent in Red Bank. And then when they go vacant, landlords don't lower the rents because they know eventually somebody's going to come in and rent the place. Keyport has finally turned the corner. And there's a lot of things you can do. One is to bring people to live within walking distance of downtown. You can't always attract headquarters from Belgium, and not every town is a county seat. Freehold is a county seat.
Yeah.
And being a county seat, it floundered for a generation.
Yes.
And you have to figure out where to start. You start with tax incentives. We start by making the place look like something that when people drive through, they want to pull over and get out and walk around. Which is what Freehold did.
Yes.
And that's what turned the corner for Freehold, and it's what Keyport did. And do either of those things, they didn't buy drugs, they didn't get shot. But you have to figure out, what do we do first? And it's not easy, because you might get swamped. It's better to just build 1,000 apartments, like Woodbridge did. It's working for Woodbridge. They're getting high-end steakhouses, they're getting high-end fusion restaurants. And Woodbridge is in the county seat.
Management.
So, but without having an organization focused on doing that, it never gets done. And we're gonna be sitting here 20 years from now saying, I don't understand why our downtown isn't as nice as Somerville, or isn't as nice as Cranford, or isn't as nice as Westfield. And you're right, somebody mentioned it. And one of the things that attracted us to Denellen, I'm with the company that developed Denellen. You should drive through North Washington Avenue, look for land in Somerset County, get stuck at the light in South Washington Avenue, right in front of the Trestle Mill. A nice piece of property right across the street from the train station. And they stop and look at something to eat in town. So this is a really, really nice downtown. And you just have to get people to stop in your town. And I don't have that much of a stake. We have 232 apartments. They're already rented. So this doesn't help us, this doesn't hurt us, but we're gonna own this building, we don't build and sell. My company's plans to own Denellen for a long, long, long time. So in that regard, we are a stakeholder in this.
Yes.
I think this is a great idea, fantastic idea.
Thank you. Any other questions? It's, I promise not to keep you guys past 8 o'clock, and it's 8:07. So, so we'll take, any final questions?
I think for the audience to understand is, this isn't final, just so you're aware.
Yes.
As a stakeholder, we're trying to get your opinion, how do we move forward with this, if we move forward at all. So this isn't final, so don't walk away thinking that we're now going to council meeting on November 4th and putting a forward an ordinance. You know, maybe we have another meeting, maybe we have panelists from a town that is similar to Denellen that is a SID, that we can have that conversation. But let's say we have that after that, and we get mixed feelings like we have this evening, which is fair, we want to hear from you. What would be next steps?
So our next steps, 100%, are to hold another stakeholder meeting. We are so grateful that you guys all came out today, but this is just a stepping stone, right? We want to collect your feedback. So on those cards, again, there's a contact form at discoverdowntowndenellen.com that you can fill out if you have any additional questions that you think of after tonight. We will be posting updates on the news and updates section of that website. For those of you who are watching at home, please visit. We can, you can submit those questions, and as we plan for our next stakeholder meeting, which we hope will bring out even more property owners and even more business owners, we'll continue to collect feedback, and then ultimately after that second stakeholder meeting, we'll make a recommendation based on your feedback to mayor and council as to how to move forward. If the feedback is positive and our recommendation is to move forward with establishing a SID, it still doesn't become final until we sit down with the mayor and council and formalize, right, the structure of the special improvement district, the formal boundaries of that district, and the assessment structure. From there, we create the ordinance. The ordinance has to get passed. Once that ordinance gets passed, then we have to start creating the management corporation, right? Which involves creating the organization, creating the bylaws, forming the organization, and then getting together the board that's ultimately going to govern the organization. So it's not a short road, right? We anticipate this moving into 2025, and for good reason, right? Because we want everybody to be involved in the process, and we want everybody to feel like they have a stake in the development of the organization. Yes.
Sorry to interject again.
No,
Sarah
absolutely.
Wants to go home or go back to work. Two things.
Yes.
December 12th, 7 p.m. at the Senior Center, we're having a redevelopment town hall. It discusses where we were, where we're at, and where we're going. The SID will be a part of the conversation. That's not the stakeholder meeting, okay?
Yes.
I just want everyone to be aware. It's that evening. Please join us so you understand the overall global comprehensive thing that's going on in town. The second thing is another approach that we could have done was go right to referendum to the residents who vote in this town. Instead, we're taking the approach of going right to the property owners and the businesses to get your input before that's even considered. Because based upon
we took the approach of let's go to the business owners and property owners who know this directly impacts them, and we can get their input and stakeholdership before any final decision path forward is made. So we hope you understand, again, this is not final. We're here having this conversation with you because if this were to go forward, much like this conversation happening, we want you at the table talking about the growth of Denellen. And we appreciate your investment, we appreciate the effort you put into the downtown, but we want a comprehensive vision, not just from the municipal side, but also from the property owners and businesses who are going into our downtown day in and day out. So I'll leave it at that.
And we'll also be conducting a survey of our own, so if you're shy and you don't want to give us your feedback, or you don't want to go online and submit your comments through the contact form on the website, we will be doing a survey where you can, provide your input. So we'll be coming around with that after the second stakeholder meeting before we make our final recommendation to council. So that'll be another opportunity for you all to give your feedback. So I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. We greatly appreciate your feedback. I look forward to connecting with each and every one of you. If you guys have any further feedback or have any additional questions, right? I'll be sticking around here till 8:30. So if you want to chat with me individually, please feel free to do so. I thank you all for coming, and good night. I want to thank our panelists as well. Can we all give them a round of applause? And we appreciate you all for coming and sharing your expertise with us, and we look forward to connecting with you again in the future. Thank you. Thank you. You look beautiful.